and welcome to another episode of Amazing Conversations. I am your host, Lady Andrea Revels, and I am excited to bring to you my guest, Dr. Fonda Thompson of Open Arms. How are you, Dr. Thompson?
I am fabulous.
Great. So we are going to take an opportunity to just share some information about Open Arms. Many of you may not, or many of the audience may not be aware, but April is deemed as Child Abuse Awareness Month.
Yes.
And I know I was looking at your bio, which I actually have it here because I tell you are definitely seem like the expert in knowing.
Oh.
But it says here that you are a leader, a mentor, professional, and motivational speaker. And I'm also reading that you have a bachelor's degree in criminal justice. Mm-hmm. You have a degree in HR management, as well as a master and a doctorate in theological seminary, which I have to commend you. My hat's off to you because, again, that shows discipline, hard work, and dedication.
Yes, ma'am.
The thing that really caught my eye when I was reading this is said that you have been with Open Arms for 25 years.
Yes, ma'am.
And I was like, wow, I'll be honest with you. I had no idea Open Arms had even been in existence that long.
Yes.
So if you would you kind of take a moment and just kind of give us some history, some background on Open Arms, how it started, and just give everyone some knowledge.
Yes. Well, Open Arms started in 1991 in this community. And it was due to the fact that there was a 2-year-old in court that had been abused, and that child had no one to take care of her. Mm-hmm. So Open Arms was birthed. They had a board of directors, and I think it was 12 that came together and decided we need this in our community. Mm-hmm. And so here we are. Open Arms is 30 years old. So here we are 30 years later.
Okay, oh wow. So Open Arms was actually in existence even before you started.
Yes.
Okay, and I guess once I was reading, I did see where you pretty much served in almost every capacity that there is to serve.
Yes.
Let me ask you, you said, so it was in court and the need, or it was there determined that there was a need. That our city did not have a solution for. So was it a group of people, a specific organization, or who actually?
It was actually just a group of people. Mm-hmm. Just and actually from different parts of the community that came together, and the first thing they did was create this board to decide what it is they needed to do, and from that, Open Arms was created.
Wow! Yes. Wow, that's amazing. So tell me, what are the different services that Open Arms provide? Because I know you all have several facilities.
Yeah, so we have 7 different programs.
Okay.
And make sure I get them all right.
Okay.
So the Bridge was our first program that they created, which is the group home, the shelter. Mm-hmm. And the Bridge will take kids from birth to age 17. And these are the kids. Now we have a contract with the state. And so the state of Georgia places kids with Open Arms. Mm. But we also have a runaway and homeless program where we also place those kids at the Bridge. And so that's where they live. We provide food, shelter, clothes, and education and recreational activities to all of those young people that come through the Bridge. Von Teresa Stevens is the director at the Bridge. And Von Teresa, she actually interned with us when she was in college. And she has a true passion for young people.
Yes.
There are times when we may have to let one of the young people go because of a certain situation or something happens, and she is constantly fighting for that young person. And it's amazing to see her work because there are also days we get off at 5, and there are days I call at 7 and she's still there. And so I thank God for the passion that my staff have, because they just go beyond the call of duty. And so that's the Bridge. And we can house 12 at the Bridge at one time.
Okay.
And then we have our transitional living program that's 18 to 21-year-olds. And a lot of those young people, they come out of the state's care at 18 and no longer want to be in care anymore. And so they become homeless on the street. Mind you, at 18, you have no idea
Not
of,
ready.
right.
Absolutely.
You have no idea about savings and checking accounts, how to fill out a job application. So we take those young people in and we teach them basic life skills.
Okay.
We teach them how to do a savings account, how to do a checking account, how to fill out a job application, how to dress for a job interview. And so we teach them those life skills.
Okay.
Now, because they're 18 to 21 and we have rules, sometimes it's difficult.
Yeah.
And especially when you have been living on the streets and there were no rules, and now all of a sudden you're in this program. And so that's a fight that we fight with, because we want them to do well, but you got to also follow the rules. And then we have our maternity group home.
Okay.
And this is one that's really dear to the director over there, because Versita Lanier, she actually came through our TLP program, and now she's one of our directors.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
And she's a mother of 5, and she's an awesome mother of her own children.
Okay.
So just think about the young people that she take into her program, and they are either pregnant or parenting, and so these babies like become hers.
Oh, I can only imagine.
Yes. And so even with them, we have to teach them basic life skills, and then also the other part of that is teaching them how to parent, how to be a good parent. And sometimes it's something as simple as you don't let the baby lay in the bed with you, because if you roll over.
Right.
And so sometimes it's just those little simple things that they just don't know about. And so that's our maternity group home. And then we have our ESG shelter, which is our emergency shelter. And Tanya Reese is the director of our emergency shelter. And I like the emergency shelter because so many times when I'm sitting at my desk at the administrative office, there are so many people who come to that door who's over the age of 30. But our emergency shelter can house 30-year-olds and older if they have a child. And so she can take families into her shelter. And so a lot of times with her program, we're taking families versus just children off the streets.
Now, when you say families, are you including if there's a husband and
Yes,
wife?
yes.
Okay, so it's not just limited. Because you know a lot of programs, they're strictly servicing women and children.
Right.
But Open Arms Emergency Program actually helps men and
women, as long as they have children.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And
That's
so
great to know.
Yes.
I like when you keyed in and you said my staff and their passion, because again, even the name Open Arms, that's basically saying, whatever it is, I think about, being a mother. And just as you are, when your kids have problems, especially when they're little, you're like, come to mama.
Yeah.
But that's what Open Arms is. And for you all to provide that service to the community, those that are in need, I think that's an awesome task that whoever the board of directors or the people that founded Open Arms, I think that was a great gesture.
Yeah.
Because again, I started, once I graduated college, undergrad, I started working at Department of Family and Children's Services. Okay. And I'll tell you, when I started that, Dr. Fonda, Dr. Thompson, y'all, she already told me what I can call her, but this is just the respect that I have for such a beautiful lady. Inside and out, your spirit is, I tell you, I just love it. But I remember working at DFACS. And I remember my heart, so many days I wanted to, take people home, and then you find or you have that urge, you want to try and help everybody.
Yes.
And then you have that realization where, you can't help everybody. You just try and help and save those that you can.
Yes.
And that's a type of job that generally most people that work with the state, when I started, you didn't do it long because you could easily get burned out. Not only from the overwhelming amount of the paperwork, but just the emotional strain that it has, because again, you if you have the love of God, and I know you do.
Yes, ma'am.
There's something in you, it just won't let you see people in need and you not at least try and help in some form or fashion. And that's what I love about Open Arms. I know you mentioned, and we've had several dealings with your organization. I know even my Links organization, shout out to our president, Madam President Sherry Barlow. But we've gifted scholarships to some of your graduating. I think you had 2 seniors that graduated.
Yes, ma'am.
And that were attending college. So, that in itself is a testimony to the work that your organization does. Yes. And we've, donated Christmas supplies. And I think our church, our women's ministry, we actually took some baby products over to the maternity.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, I get it and I understand it. And now that you mentioned, I think when I was actually in high school, I do remember there was a young lady, and they said that she lived in a group home.
Wow.
And at that time, I didn't even know what a group home was or that there was such a place. So apparently that was probably right around the time when it was just opening.
Wow.
But I think that's so important. And how do you do what you do, Dr. Thompson, and I guess not take it home? Or can you leave it?
Well, I've been with Open Arms 25 years. Mm-hmm. And I can remember when I first started, I would go home every night and cry. I mean, every single night. Mm-hmm. One of the hardest cases I think that I've had to deal with was a 2-year-old. And the fact that we're talking about Child Abuse Awareness Month, this 2-year-old had to go to the emergency room because, and I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say this or you have to, but she had to go to the emergency room because she had his penis stuck in her mouth at the age of 2. Oh. And I can remember telling God, I'm not sure if I can do this. Wow. I just wasn't sure. And it took me a while to get over that. And even to this day, I'm still, it's amazing to me what an adult would do to a young person. Right. And so, for me, it's the communion with God that I have to stay close to Him. Yes. Just about work. Right. Just move everything else out of the way. And think about all the stuff we're going through right now. But just from day to day going to work, I have to stay in communion with Him. Because He is the only one. Because I'll tell you this now. I was unsure about that 2-year-old. But I was also mad as I could be.
Oh, I know it. And I'm mad. I don't even know them.
Yeah.
Him nor her.
Yeah. And I kept thinking if I could just get my hands on them. So, I have to stay connected with Him. Yes. That's the first thing. Right. And then the other part of it is having great people around you. When I tell you, I have the best staff ever. I do. Rosalind Fowler-Fliggins, who is the Associate Executive Director. Rosalind has the heart and the spirit for young people. And she's like all of our therapists. She has a couch in her room and we'll in her office and we'll go, look, Rosalind, I need to talk. But she helps us because her degree is in social work. Right. And so she helps us get through a lot of those days. Wow. And so I think it's the combination of just having God connected. Yes. And having the right people, the right staff for the right job, the right time. And right now, Open Arms is just blessed to have the right staff. We are blessed to have the right staff right now.
Well, I'll tell you, I understand fully what you mean about having the right people at the right time in the right place, because you said you have the best staff, and I tell my staff that. I tell my baby, this my staff. I don't want whatever we gotta do. Right. I need these to stay with me. So I understand the importance when you have people that they know your vision and your passion, and they work as a team player to make that come into fruition. And I do know that, especially given again the job that you all do, it's more than just a job. Like I say, you are impacting lives. You are helping to shape tomorrow's leaders. And even what you mentioned about, I know Rosalind personally, and I think Rosalind, she's just like a dad. She too, community servants.
Yeah.
And in fact, Rosalind and I can't remember, it's probably been about 12 years ago, maybe 12, 13 years ago. God had given me a play. It was called Church Girls. And I told it to Rosalind, and she penned it.
Yes,
You
ma'am.
came to
Yes,
see
ma'am.
it.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, and but it was, oh gosh, Dr. Thompson, it was just, when I tell you so many people got healed and delivered just from that play.
Yes.
So again, even for her to be able to know your vision and to pen it.
Yes.
And then having the proper people in place to make that paper come to life.
Yes.
I mean, that in itself is a great task and testimony that we have to give God the glory for. And even listening at what you're saying about your staff, it's important when, and I don't know how did you even get your staff? Did you go to God? God sent me right? How did you get them? Look, she don't know.
Listen,
It's all God.
let me tell you, it's truly Him. And the sad part about it is, the worst part of my job is having to terminate somebody. But sometimes you have to go through that process to get to the right people that God has for you.
Right.
And so, unfortunately, along the way, we've had some people to move on. And He just, opened that door.
Yeah.
And one thing I want to say this about Rosalind, because you talk about the play that she wrote for you. We have several federal grants. And Rosalind writes all of our grants. She has, I don't know what it is, but she's got that passion for that paper, and that pen to put it on paper, and again make it come to life.
Yes.
And so we have just been blessed because of her writing.
Yes.
And so it's God is amazing.
Yes, He is.
He is just amazing.
Yes, and I'll tell you, I actually told my husband, because that's just the nature of business. Whether it's a secular business, whether it's church, membership, whatever. I told him, I said, I know that when people are tied to you and what they do is connected to whatever it is that God has for you to do, they can't leave you.
Yes.
Some people, they're there for a season.
That's right.
And the illustration goes back to the scaffold. The scaffold is up for the job to get done. But once that window or that building is fixed or windows clean, that scaffold has to come down.
There it is.
But the window is still there,
Yes.
So that's how I choose it. And that's what even with Open Arms, because, again, like you say, you've had some people to come and everybody don't stay.
Right.
But for whatever their purpose is for that time, when you trust and believe God, which I know you do. I remember we saw you, look, we might need to have a personal meeting, because y'all hope not to get too far off of base, but I'm just excited talking to you. But I remember we were in, was it Texas, I think, and we saw you at Jake's conference.
Yes.
So I know, and sometimes you have to get away to feed your spirit. But not only that, that just shows that when I saw you, it made me think about a lot of times people, my mother-in-law used to say, and I've said this on this podcast before, she would oftentimes say, a heap see, but a few know. That's what she said.
Wow.
A heap see, but a few know. So people, they see you around here looking all pretty and fabulous and smiling, and they don't know what you carry.
Exactly.
So a lot of times you have to go straight to the Creator, the Source.
Yes.
God, help me to make it through this day.
Yes.
Help me to be a light for someone.
Yes.
And that's what I see, even with your staff, you talk about how great they are. I'm sure they're blessed and feel extremely blessed to have you.
Well, I hope so.
Yeah, I mean, because you've got to be a praying woman.
Yes, ma'am.
You have to be. On bended knees.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So, I mean, I tell you, it's important what you do. Even, April is designated as Child Abuse Awareness Month. Yes. But this is something that, unfortunately, especially people in that field, you can't just limit your involvement to 1 month.
Right.
You live it every day.
Right.
And I heard you say, I think you said one of your staffers Even the office closes at 5, but 7 o'clock,
she's still
there.
Yes.
That's passion.
Yes.
That's commitment.
Yes.
And that's priceless.
Yes.
You can't pay for
Can't
it.
Cannot.
So, to take this opportunity for you to come on Amazing Conversations and to share what Open Arms has to offer, your contribution to the citizens of Albany and Dougherty County, is something to be commended. And I'm glad that we have the opportunity to bring awareness.
Yes.
Because a lot of times people, they don't even know what's available to them.
Right.
And several of the programs that you mentioned are all important. They're all needed. And God knows I see people walking up and down the streets all the time. And I'm constantly praying, okay, God, give me direction. What can we do to impact this? What can we do to make a change? What can we do to meet this need? Right. So again, what you all do. And that explains why you've been there 25 years. It's a hard thing.
It is. And a lot of times people will ask me, do I like my job? And sometimes I really don't know how to answer that, because part of me wish we didn't have to be.
I got
you. If there was no child abuse, we wouldn't have to be. But because there are so many kids, and you'd be surprised at some of our neighboring counties who believe there is no child abuse in their county. Yeah.
Wow.
And so, we see it every day. We see the physical abuse with the broken bones and the bruises and the cigarette burns. We see it. We see the child who does not get food. And I'm going to tell you what scares me in the midst of this pandemic. Our numbers went down.
Really?
But what scares me is this, because normally we get the calls from the schools. And so because because early on in the pandemic, they were not in school, I just wonder how many kids didn't get food.
Oh, I'm with you. I understand.
And so just this pandemic alone bothers me so much as it relates to child abuse and kids being taken care of, kids getting what they need.
Right.
So I don't know.
Well, and you actually bring up an interesting topic, because when they're at the school, other people are able to see. Whereas sometimes children, they're unwilling or afraid to tell or to say something. But at least when they're in the company of an adult or someone that they feel may be able to help, that little gleam of hope.
Right.
But if they're not going to the school and they're at home, who's to witness what they're going? And they have no one.
Exactly.
And that's eye-opening. I hadn't thought about that. So we've got to, citizens, Facebook watchers, we have to find a way to blow the horn. We need to do what we can do to help Open Arms.
Yes.
I know Rosalind, she writes the grants. I know she's great at it. But when there's a need, you can never have too much.
Exactly.
And I would like you to share with us in the Facebook how, if people wanted to partner with Open Arms, whether it's in money, whether if there's even opportunities of volunteering, what would an individual need to do?
Yes. First of all, we love our partners and we love our donors, because we do have, there is still some good people in the world. It's still some good people. And so we have people who donate to us quite often. And all they have to do is come by Open Arms. We are located at 420 Pine Avenue right here in Albany, Georgia. Okay. We're open Monday through Friday from 8 to 5. Okay. We also have a Facebook page if they need to get in contact with us through Facebook as well. And so, and one of the things I want to say before we go is this. I loved John Lewis. I love him even more now because he reminds us, if we see something, to say something. And so I want to say to everybody that's going to watch this podcast, that if you see something as it relates to a child, even if you are unsure, make that report. Wow. Make that report. Let Department of Family and Children Services do an investigation. Do what they need to do, because our goal is that we keep young people, that we keep children, that we keep families safe from abuse.
Right, right.
Yes.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you have heard it. That's the plea from the Executive Director of Open Arms, Dr. Fonda Thompson. If you see it, say it. That's our word for today. Again, I am your host, Lady Andrea Revels. Thank you for joining us for amazing conversation. Listen, like our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter. Subscribe to us on YouTube so that you can catch this conversation. And if there's a conversation that you'd like to hear, take the time to inbox us and we will definitely try and make that a reality. I pray that each of you have a wonderful night and thank you for joining us.